hello out there wherever you are. As for me, well, I'm here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, here to check out something I've been wanting to check out for a really, really long time. See, we're going to step inside the walls of Eastern State Penitentiary. Now, Eastern State has not been operational since 1971. Was built in the 1800s, early 1800s, in kind of that castle style. Most prisons and jails were built and in a really nice area of Philadelphia. I don't know what it's always like this, but really nice area of Philadelphia. A whole city block is taken up by this jail. So we're going to step inside. We're going to see what it's all about. And we're going to get into Eastern State Penitentiary on Tom Was Here.
Hey, how do you like this? I'm Dan Israel, and you're watching Tom Was Here.
All right, we are officially here. Look at this massive structure right here. It's amazing. The one thing I do like about Eastern State is it is a self-guided tour, so you're allowed to roam around on your own. You're not kind of hitched to a tour guide, although those are cool too, but this one should be very interesting. Okay, so I decided to take the audio tour. The audio tour was included with the price, so it wasn't like it was like additional or anything like that. But kudos to having Steve Buscemi as the narrator for this audio tour. Generally when it comes to audio tours, I'm like, it's kind of cool. I know a little bit about the history, but I'll probably listen to the whole thing with Steve Buscemi on board. That's my guy. The walls from the inside, I know the video doesn't do it justice, but they are pretty massive. Also, at some point, I gotta get here. I've been wanting to get here for a long time, but I definitely gotta get here. This I gotta get to at some point here. Hopefully in the next couple years. I've heard very good things about it. And anything in a real life place, as much as I love haunts and going to different haunted houses, anything that has a real life backdrop to it, in the case of like West Virginia Penitentiary, which is very good, and this, I'm sure it's amazing. I'm sure it's absolutely amazing. All right, we are gonna step in. This is prisons before Eastern State. This is the first cell block, and man, oof, it is, I guess maybe these were old time cells that they had left here, which is pretty crazy. Wow. Punishments of the 1700s and 1800s of stocks. Can't be fun. I can't imagine that is very fun. The old pillory. Everybody gets their tomatoes and throws them at them. Branding. They did branding back then. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty expansive, as you can well see here. So according to the audio tour, these weren't even like prison cells. They were just holding cells for your punishment of flogging or whipping or whatever it was. They were just something that was just there until you were waiting until, I think 1829 was the date this area opened up, which is pretty wild. This is one of the cells here, and it's pretty narrow, I would say. But it's interesting. I got the high ceiling, got a little bit of a light up there too. Wow. So this is kind of what a cell looked like. They spent their entire time here other than like a few minutes. So nobody else was allowed to like, except most of the time they said this guy's cell did like horse thievery, and they put a bag over his head so he didn't see another prisoner, and then did 2 years. Right here didn't talk to anyone, didn't see another prisoner. They isolated them completely where they were in there. They ate here, they did everything here. That's pretty wild. Yeah, most of the other rooms are kind of like, you know, not recreated. They're just basically like, you know, but I mean, I guess roomier than other prisons I've seen, to be honest with you. Compared to, they actually have like, you know, high ceilings and stuff. Generally, the prison cells are, the modern ones are very, very small. Let's So all the cell blocks were very small, and they're all kind of accessed through this one main hub here, which is pretty wild. The building is pretty massive. Although they are one stories, like most of the cell blocks are only one story, you know, expanded out over 8 or 9 corridors, it's pretty lengthy. So we're gonna check it out, the different corridors, and see what we can find. So we're gonna go into cell block 3, which is the medical wing. And apparently Al Capone got his tonsils taken out here. So we started in 2. And there would just be a lot to deal with here. Which way do we go? All right, we'll go this way. Let's see what the okay. Oh, that takes you to 11. Okay, interesting. I was curious to see where everything ended up. I'm very confused. Then we'll go the other corridor. I think I found the yard. I don't know if I'm even supposed to be going this way or if I'm taking things out of turn or what. Yeah. Okay, so like you can't even access like the medical wing, I guess, in there, just through that one gate. Interesting. Okay, you just look through. So I saw people walking around the medical wing, so you must be able to access it from another door, I guess. So block 4 looks very busy at the moment. Let's see, 5 is basically in ruin. Interesting. This is cell block 6, and it's basically also pretty much in ruin here. Pretty rough in there. We just left it to time to get into, but wow. Okay, the audio tour continues up the steps. So let's go up the steps. Why not? Some of the nicer steps in this place. You can see the expanse of how far that goes down. Wow. So on the audio tour, they basically said that people came from all over the world to visit this, to then model prisons in different countries all over the world after this place. And then Charles Dickens apparently said the 2 places he wanted to see in the United States were Niagara Falls and this place. But then also said about the, you know, like what torture could do being isolated this much, because like I said, they were not it wasn't like jail cells where it was like cell to cell to cell and they have yard time and stuff like that. They literally were isolated, you know, hoods over their heads when they were outside of their cells. It was pretty crazy in here the way they had it set up, but it's also really awesome to see. Pretty incredible cool tour, and I'm glad I checked it out. Okay. Yeah. Stairs are not steep at all. Okay, audio tour continues with 8. Oh, it's when they ended isolation, they started getting people actually together. Back on the main area. No one's in here now. This plaque thanks the inmates who served in the Army and Navy during the World War, but as you can see, only with their prisoner number and not with any other distinction other than their prisoner number. Wow. Wow. Even like the more like modern cells of which they were there had like actually like I don't know how many as far as people were in here, but I assume once they started grouping them up there were multiple, but even still that's a better space than West Virginia and a few other ones I've been to. Wow. That's pretty crazy. That's wild. I'm back outside just to see the, I'm gonna walk right up to the wall here so you can see kind of how high that is up there. That's pretty wild. It's awesome. So they have this grid that represents race in the US prison system through 1970, where this is just not an eastern state, but all prisons in the United States. And they have it significantly expanded, wow. In 1990 and 2000, as you can see, like the size of these versus the size of these ones. Well, the one thing I guess you could say is I guess it dipped between 2010 and 2020 a little bit, but still not great. And they also have an area for 2030 to expand it, which is pretty interesting. But wow. I always assumed they would be the highest, but they're actually not, surprisingly. That would be El Salvador. That's interesting. These countries that practice capital punishment and these nations that don't, and how they compare as far as the number of prisoners per population. I see US was the world highest in 2010, but at least as of 2023, which was last year, they are not at the moment. So that's interesting. I guess this is a temporary exhibit called Prisons Today. And how the violent crime rate is roughly the same, but the number of people in prison is significantly more. Oh no. You're not gonna get me to incriminate myself. Yeah, is this the old thing from the movie Stripes? Convicted? Never convicted. Wow. can write down a statement here. Place in the confession in the slot under the desk. And all of these are either people that are actually in prison or people that just came here for a visit, which is interestingly enough. Let's see. I'm kind of curious. Okay. Interesting. So then the other ones must be visitors then. Yeah. Wow. So some of the bigger crimes that were on this board were people that actually visited and were not actually in prison at the moment, which is interestingly enough. That's pretty wild, actually. Hey, look at this cost. It's about 12 billion versus 81 billion. Irving cost of college versus cost of prison. 16,000. I mean, is that true? It feels like the college one's more yearly, but 42,000, that's a lot. That is a lot. About 45% of the people released from Pennsylvania prisons will be back in prison within 3 years. Wow. That's a crazy statistic there. Some of these doors are very, if you look, like very small. You have to duck under to get in there. Or heading to the exit here. You know, there's more things I didn't see, so I gotta go back. They don't really give you a guidebook as far as where everything is. Juveniles. 17, 16 the youngest. 14, quite a few 14-year-olds. That's pretty crazy. 852, age 11 to 17. 11. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Well, 11 years old being put into this. That's messed up. Beyond Capone prison gangs that are now. Oh, good. I get to walk through one of these things. I turned one of the cells into this exhibit on prison gangs. The Four Horsemen. 4 inmates to represent the entire prison population. Has them settle disputes. Oh no, there's no way that could have went well. Yikes. Warden. How did you think that was gonna work out? A unique carnival of lawlessness. Oh no. Oh no. Yikes. There's no way that could have been good. Oof. Terrible. They say like, oh, they do a little, wow. A little, breakdown of all these people and what they did. Oof. Sheesh. Look at this guy. Looks like Colin Farrell's the Penguin here. Released in 49 on the condition that he be deported to Italy. Wow. Oh, it's a woman. Part of a team of automotive thieves. Oh, Florence. Wow. Let's see, he got a bandage on his head. They roughed him up, bringing him in, probably. Wow. Executed in the electric chair. We got Al Capone here. The Al Capone cell. And then, oh, this is the music playing. This man was living it up in here. He wasn't, there's 2 beds, but he probably wasn't sharing that with anyone. Or, How lucky can you be to pull the prisoner lottery card to be shacked up with Al Capone in this setup here? It's like a New York City apartment. It's bigger than a New York City apartment for the most part. It's pretty nice. Wow. Bummer you can't go in there, but that's pretty cool. Got cigars. Look at them. I mean, I know it's prison, but he had photos on the wall, for God's sake. Wow, that's awesome. Al Capone, an international celebrity in 1930. His release from Eastern State drew movie cameras, hundreds of onlookers, and maybe even a few enemies. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's pretty ridiculous, actually. This was a criminal. And look at them. They're lined up around. So there seem to be conflicting reports on whether he had a super comfy cell or a cell. You know, there seems to be some debate on that, I guess. They make it seem like, you know, he had a regular cell versus a super comfy cell. Was it as nice as the one they recreated here? Because they did it based on this article. Maybe, maybe not. This one kind of paints it a little bit worse. But my guess is he lived better than most prisoners, but probably not as fancy as that one is. But I could be wrong. It's still pretty cool to see, for sure. That's an interesting art exhibit here. So, did he have to bring the car in here piece by piece and reassemble it, you know, as in the way he wanted it to be? Because there's no way you can't drive it in here. That's pretty interesting. Also, once again, I will repeat this versus other prisons. An entire car fits in here. If you see the cells of some of these places at the Ohio State Reformatory, West Virginia Penitentiary, there's no chance a car could fit in anything like this. Wow. That is, he said, the pretty spacious cells. I know it was an older prison, but, you know, that's surprising, actually, to find that out. They have a greenhouse out here. I like the headlines that are printed on the opposite side there. I don't know if you can go in at all. But yeah, you can hardly see it through the thing, but pretty cool. Oh, I assume this is part of the Halloween thing. Man, I have to get here. I'm sure it's awesome. Bocce court. They restored the court in 2012. That's cool. I saw the balls there. Some of the exhibits ahead contain adult content. Okay. I don't even know where this is. Oh, this must be one of... Oh, this is the... No, this is somewhere else. I'm all turned around in this place, to be honest with you. I don't even know what... Oh, that's another one of those artist installations. Oh, that's interesting. So inside this cell, they put a cell from Guantanamo Bay. I guess showing the differences between the two. So the giant space in which this is a cell versus the cage with a cage top that is the Guantanamo Bay cell, just to show, I guess, the difference between those two things, which is, you know, both meaning the same thing, incarceration, but that's pretty crazy. So it shows everything that was actually in a Guantanamo Bay cell here. Some of these crimes: vagrancy, alcohol, abortion, sodomy. Wow. objects and someone speaking in here.
And then a woman's prison, which is kind of weird. I don't feel like I belong here. I'm pretty sure I don't belong in men's prison either.
I guess it's from either, is this real people that served or inmates, or was it like actor recreations of such a thing? I don't know. Oh, the artist developed these monologues, so it's like an actor recreation of that, but that's pretty cool. I will say this, it's not a particularly warm day today. It's in the lower 80s, but it's warm in there, I'll tell you. I'm sure on days like the last few days where it was like, you know, pushing 100, that it must be miserable in there. Although some areas were actually like very nice and cool. Some areas were very, very warm. This is photo requests from solitary confinement. I guess this is what people. Statue of Liberty, adult male lion and 4 cubs, cabin in the woods. Wisconsin Badger team logo. Oh, they're all showing the prison there. SCI Rockview. SCI Green. SCI Cole Township. SCI Green. Wow. And they're all over here too. Wow. I guess these are different butterflies and moths that a prisoner captured while at Eastern States. Some of them extremely rare. And different bugs and death row courtyard specimen. Wow. A large collection of different things he captured here. That's pretty interesting. Very cool. I like the different artist exhibits. It's like a different way of looking at things. Mummified mourning dove. Yeah, I mean, you could probably spend a good bit of time here just going through all the, exhibits, all the charts, all the graphs, all the information story pages that they have on there. Yeah, you can definitely spend some time here for sure. This probably won't be my last trip here because I'm definitely coming for Halloween nights as soon as I get the chance to. Alright, did have to visit the museum store just to see what was inside, and they did have something that I couldn't say no to. I love old-timey keys, and they have a reproduction of the original front gate key with Eastern State. I thought that was a cool souvenir, and so I got it. It's very heavy. It's got good weight to it. I like old-timey keys. This goes into my cabinet of curiosities behind me when I do videos, and you will see it there somewhere at some point. Okay, Eastern State. Until we meet again. Hopefully for Halloween nights. Please, hopefully for Halloween nights. Sooner rather than later. Just let me walk free out of the main gate here. Back into civilization. A changed man. Probably not. Well, that'll do it. From Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Really, really cool visit and worth the trip for sure should you be in the area. It's got parking right next to it. It's pretty easy and accessible. And it's a really cool place to check out. A lot of interesting, cool things, not just Al Capone's cell, but just how this prison was like the blueprint for all prisons, and how they, you know, made it all one floor, and it was just kind of like a basic like start thing, and then they expanded it to 2 floors when they started putting people together and putting more people in prisons. There's a lot to explore, there's a lot to see, and there's a lot to do. I wouldn't suggest being on a super warm day. This day is not that warm, but it was still warm in here. Because there is no air conditioning in here, because it's been closed since 1971, I believe it is. But still a very cool place to visit, and worth your time for sure. I visited now quite a few prisons. I visited a state in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, and West Virginia. All of them very different from each other, which is pretty interesting. But that'll wrap it up. From Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you are new here, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Like support me on Patreon, like John Bailey, like Brett Persing, like Faye Ann, you can do so. Link is in the description below. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt, a TomWasHere t-shirt, you can do so at Spreadshirt, as well as links to my eBay store, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Arena Club, and the Pennsylvania Autograph Collectors Association. Links are in the description below. When it comes to Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I can officially say that my name is Tom and I was here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Bye, everyone.